Good morning. Welcome to JP's Morning Brief for March 16th. All right, we all survived the Ides of March and Pi Day and everything else that's happening in the world. And Monday morning, congratulations, we made it. All right, and not for lack of news, there's a whole lot. And I realized over the last couple of months of doing the morning brief, trying to keep it brief because it's only 30 minutes long, how fast 30 minutes can go. And some of y'all actually know how fast that time really speeds up. As we are beginning, don't forget to click that follow button if you have not done so or not yet a follower of the JPA report, which is what this podcast is part of the channel of. And then hit that like button, and please don't forget to chat. Chat's always important. I interact with it either verbally or I'll try to top out a response if I get a chance. I was telling a buddy of mine I do the chat on my cell phone, my Rumble Studio, and on my tablet. So I try to stay aware of what's going on here real quick. But all right. So that being said, a little bit of breaking news. What I just heard on the TV just before I put my wallpaper on back here. If you remember the guy that did uh, the crash his truck into the synagogue last week in West Bloomfield, Michigan, I think it was, right beside Dearborn, Michigan. He was saying it was retaliation because his nephew and his niece were killed in an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon earlier in the month. Well, it came out yesterday that the guy's brother was a Hezbollah commander. So the stories are people broadcast stories that infuriate you, right? Like, how dare they kill this little boy and this little girl? Well, they were in the vicinity of the Hezbollah commander, which was actively committing war against Israel. So he shouldn't have been in there anyway. Uh, Hearts bleed for the little kids, but this guy was a bad guy, and he got taken out. All right, but that's what I heard this morning. And then we have we have a letter. This is the day before the fall of Boston. Okay, tomorrow it would be the 250th anniversary of the complete withdrawal and the victory of Continental Army forces over British in Boston. All right. Let's see. So we'll start with the letter. Well, matter of fact, right before that, I want to show y'all something. You know, when you told, like, you hear these stories about, well, I'll go through my attic and um, look what I found in my attic. Look what I found in my baseball card box, and you're like, wow, this is cool. How do they actually get away with that stuff, right? That's like um, it's magical that you find stuff. Well, this weekend we had a free dump at our solid waste facility. It was like, okay, we're getting ready to throw stuff out that we really don't need. We were in the garage and we opened up this one container and there's this zip file in there. What is that? My wife said, I don't know. So I opened it up, right? And I got more of these I want to show you, but I'm going to do it in the afternoon. Uh, but Richard, you'll get it. You'll love this. Okay, my buddy Richard's online. Let me. There we go. All right. So this is what we found in a zip file in its original. It is on the date of the day that he was assassinated. So this is the PM edition of the Tulsa Tribune. Isn't that awesome? President is slain in Dallas parade. John F. Kennedy. Wow. Man, I tell you. And then there's more of them. There's that one, and then there's the one on Oswald being arrested. There's the one on Oswald being um, uh, killed, and then there's one with talking about President Johnson, and in the funeral of JFK. I could not believe we saw that this weekend. That was unbelievable. Okay, so let's get going with America 250. All right, America 250. This is a two-part letter. Part one is this morning. Part two is going to be this afternoon. All right. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Reed to George Washington. This morning, your express arrived with an account of the interesting events which have taken place since this month began. I beg to congratulate you on your appearances so favorable into the interests of our country and your own character. Not that, in my opinion, it was at the least clouded by your inactivity, as the causes were well known. But it is certain that enterprise and success give a brilliance and luster which cannot be acceptable to a good mind. We shall be anxious for further accounts, as those have left you at a critical period of suspense, when we are led to expect some very important changes may come soon. I shall be careful of your confidential account of your council of war. I wish the event may prove me mistaken, but I'm strongly possessed with your idea that some members of your council will never concur in any measure which leads to danger, and I think you will make less and less use of them. In that way, every day you are with them. Thomas, I presume, is made a major general and ordered to Canada, where old Wooster was throwing everything into confusion, and a superior officer was necessary to keep the peace. I don't much like thus. I fear service will require all their separate attention and ability. I wrote you before that General Lee was ordered to Virginia, Armstrong to South Carolina, Thompson to New York. We have everything to fear from the southward. A cursed spirit of disaffection has appeared in the back parts of North and South Carolina, which, if not subdued before the forces arrive from England, will prove a most formidable piece of business, especially when connected with a host of Negroes in the lower part of the country. Instead of painting their strength and power of resistance in ostentatious terms, as in the fashion of some folks, and the gentlemen of that country acknowledge their weakness and dread of consequences. I am really concerned for old Armstrong and think the climate will destroy him. You have much reason to think that Congress neglected your camp in the article of ammunition, but I am hope by the time this reaches you, 10 tons of our last importation will be in your camp. The vessel brought about 300 stand of arms, but they are the best yet imported. If Howe should leave Boston, we expect he will make for New York. At, and at all events, we look upon that with all the scenes in summer business. In the former case, I can find it suppose you will move southward. But General Lee's account, no dependence is to be put on their professions, and the late delegation from Congress came back with a very slender opinion of their conduct, which is timid and trimming to the greatest degree. I am glad that you have informed me how the matter stood with the Connecticut men. I had no doubt, but the step you took was founded upon a necessity which would justify the directing of troops to be raised, but I found it gave an alarm to some folks. I believe I hinted it in the former letter, but your state must, and and I doubt not, has given a perfect satisfaction. I have thought it. I have thought it a duty I owe you to mention anything of this kind occurring as your distance might otherwise prevent a suitable explanation. Most of the camp in Equidge will be completed this week or at the beginning of next. I shall obey your commands with respect to the wagon and horses. There will be no difficulty about the money should the treasurer here have any scruples. I have, as I have advanced it, as I shall advance it, and we shall settle that when we meet. I had ordered the tables and several other things which appeared to me be necessary, though not in your order. I hope when you see them you will be agreeable. I have consulted O Economy as much as I thought consistent with your rank and station. Most of our workmen here are strangers to these things, that they are very slow and tedious. Two of the tents are finished and the other two just completed. I am never happier than when I am on your business, so that you may depend upon it when I shall spare no pains to have them done in the best manner and forward them with the greatest expedition. The destruction of the mortars is very extraordinary. There certainly must be some want in skill in the management of them. I suppose old Putt was to command the detachment intended for Boston on the 5th, as I do not know any officer but himself who could have been depended on for so hazardous a service. Should Howe decamp, I cannot say. I should much regret that day passing over so quietly, as if the troops have behaved so very well would have been a great loss, and if ill, it would have ruined your whole plan. We have some accounts from Virginia that Colonel Henry has resigned in disgust at not being made a general officer, but it rather satisfaction than otherwise, as his abilities seem better calculated for the Senate than the field. We have no very late accounts from thence. A man of war and the tenders lately were up to Baltimore and gave them an alarm, which drove all their women, children, and valuable effects out of the town. But we have heard nothing since. Poor Fry, heaven and earth, has moved to get him in, but but he was very thing that was great and wonderful. Now I suppose we shall hear no more of him. Not a syllable yet from our fleet is not a syllable yet from our fleet. It is 4 weeks tomorrow since they left the Capes. Should they fall within the 12 men of war conveying transports to Virginia, it is all over with them, and we think there is a great danger of it. My next must certainly give some intelligence. For our own news, the packet arrived last week at New York, and in her passenger, Mr. Robert Temple, owner of the late beautiful farm below our lines. He came down to town last night to report that his papers under his buttons, he was brought a letter from Arthur Lee. All right, so that's part one of the letter, and the other one's like a page and a half. There's a lot of stuff about Boston, about officers, about movement of soldiers. about New York. Lots of stuff about officers. One that resigned because he got butthurt because he didn't make brigadier general. Such is life, right? I'll put that over there. All right. So just a quick update about the Dalmatian. Um, the Dalmatian, they're still closed. Owner's still in recovery. That's about all we know right now. I miss them. I'm losing weight. I'm down to my last couple of 100 pounds. It's going quick. All right. Oh, wow. My daughter just chimed in. Good morning, Rachel. Um, all right. So the next is Operation Epic Fury. So this is the update just to give you a quick idea of what the map looks like. I'll transition to it. There's the area of operations. Everything's going on, right? Okay. So meanwhile, back at the ranch, right? There we go. All right. So Iran update. Uh, all military targets, they hit 90 military targets on Karg Island, and they were all destroyed. Uh, the Secretary of State has authorized a $10 million reward on the spiritual leader and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps leaders. Any of them, they got $10 million waiting for you. Just call our phone number. All right. Trump says all of Iran's air defense is destroyed. The French, uh, the French are urging Iran to surrender. Uh, Too bad he can't stop bombing their neighbors. It's so rude of them to force F1 races to be canceled. Yeah. So if what you don't know is my daughter is a huge F1 fan, and they canceled some of the F1 races in the Middle East because of this war that's going on, and she wants them to be able to race. All right. Uh, Iran Iran arrested dozens of people in Tehran for spying for Israel. Uh, the U.S. and U.K. have discussed opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and that is because Iran says the strait is only open to friends of Iran and not the enemies of Iran. Um, the UAE said they've taken down 4 ballistic missiles and 6 drones. Um, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, are prepping a massive operation into Lebanon. There's already uh, forces pushing into South Lebanon, but the rumor is there's about 450,000 Israeli reservists have been called up for the South Lebanon operation. Right. And then give me a second here. Let me go back over here. And right now, oil and West Texas Intermediate, which is the guidepost of for bidding on oil, it is down to 96.30 right now. All right. Last night it was like 97, 99.70, $99.70 a barrel of oil, and right now it's at $96.34. All right. So it went up a little bit. All right. So I'll go back over here, just give you an update. I don't have nothing on the Dow because everything is suspect in the Dow right now because it's before trading hours. So we won't know nothing until 8:30 Central. 90.30. All right. So what are we doing on time? It's already 6:49. Like I told you a while ago, it goes way too fast. All right. So the next story I want to brief y'all on real quick. We are going to run out of time really fast. All right. All right. So we all know there was a midair incident last week in Western Iraq. Um, two KC-135s. We thought it was a 135 and a 10, but it was actually two KC-135s had a midair incident. One of the liner refuelers landed safely in Israel. The other one crashed in western Iraq. They identified them. So as I speak, I'm going to show you their pictures, right? And then so you won't see me while I'm reading, all right? So I'm going to transition over. These are all United States Air Force personnel. The Pentagon has identified 6 U.S. service members who were killed when a KC-135 refueler aircraft crashed in western Iraq during a combat mission. It was not directed at fire. Um, the incident, which occurred on Thursday, took place in friendly airspace during an unspecified incident involving another aircraft. While the plane landed safely, the KC-135 crashed. Military officials said the incident was not due to hostile or friendly fire, remains under investigation. The airmen were assigned to the 6th Air Refueling Wing at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida and the 121st Air Refueling Wing at Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base in Columbus, Ohio, according to the U.S. government. Those killed were Major Alex Kleiner, 33, Captain Ariana Savino, 31, Technical Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, 34, Captain Seth Koval, 38, Captain Curtis Angst, 30, and Tech Sergeant or Technical Sergeant Tyler Simmons, 28. All right. So let's take a moment of silence just to remember them for just a few seconds. All right. So yeah, keep their families in your prayers, please. Okay, it's tragic. Um, so so I'll go more into this after this afternoon because this is just a brief right now. Uh, Big news in here in Texas was that if you remember last summer, there was a shooting in July at an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas. Alvarado is just south of Fort Worth on I-35 West. Uh, there were 9 people convicted on Friday for the attack, in which 2 people were killed. Jurors delivered a mixed verdict Friday in a federal trial of 9 people accused of carrying out a 2025 ambush attack on an ICE detention facility in North Texas. 9 of the defendants accused of being part of the North Texas ANTIFA cell were convicted by a federal jury in Fort Worth for their roles in the July 4th, 2025 attack on the Prairie Land ICE detention facility, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Jurors delivered the verdict around 2:30 p.m. Friday at the federal courthouse in Fort Worth, following roughly a day and a half of deliberations. And then the guilty verdicts in today's case goes to show that the FBI's 24/7 commitment to identifying, locating, and dismantling Antifa members and their networks. Kash Patel told Fox News, "I want to thank the Dallas field office and their great partners for delivering justice. If you attack federal law enforcement, this FBI will use every resource at our disposal to hunt you down." All right. And it was a 12-day trial. And then see the Benjamin Song, he was a guy that was fled, and it took a while to find him. He was convicted of the most serious charge, attempted murder, for shooting Alvarado Police Lieutenant Thomas Gross, according to Fox Channel 4. But one of the 9 defendants, Derek Estrada, was found guilty of providing materials support to terrorists, rioting, and conspiring to use and carry explosives and using explosives during a riot. So Cash Patel is right. They went and took charge, and the mysterious non-affiliated group called ANTIFA just got convicted. So we took 9 bad guys off the streets because they would do it again if they gave them the chance. Just like this terrorist at Old Dominion University. He was a convicted terrorist. He went to prison, and Joe Biden's administration let him out early. And what did he do within a year of being released? He did the same thing again. You can't. The only good place for a terrorist is behind bars, and you keep them behind bars to protect people in our country. Um, and that brings to a point on this next article that I'm just going to breeze by because we're almost out of time. Um, this is a string of attacks connected to naturalized citizens raises the national security questions. Can a U.S. citizen that's been naturalized uh, be stripped of their citizenship and deported out of the country? That is a really good question. Uh, depends on if they probably depends on if they falsified their naturalization um, paperwork to become a U.S. citizen in the first place, right? We got guys over the last couple of weeks. We discovered they spent less than 5 years as a legal immigrant applying for citizenship in our country. When I know people, it take 10, 15 years to get that process done. Uh, you can't just go in there like at a Taco Bell and order, hey, can I get this quesarito and a large tea to go? It doesn't work that fast. It takes years. You got to do background checks. You got to do interviews. You got to do citizenship tests. You got to get sworn in. There's a whole lot of stuff you have to go through. And some of these people breeze straight through it. And I don't understand it. I'm surprised one day we will. Um, and then the hardest part of the news right now is, and I will totally get into this one this afternoon, is Tom Tillis, the retiring U.S. Senator from North Carolina, a Republican in name only, said he is a hard no on the SAVE Act that's trying to get to the Senate right now. They're supposed to start debate on Wednesday for it, uh, but right now we have Lisa Murkowski's a hard no. She's another fake Republican. And then we have Tom Tillis. He said he's a hard no. And we don't know what's up with Mitch McConnell. And I think that's the only other one right now. But, we could lose 3 and have J.D. Vance there. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, these politicians sometimes, I mean, we try. John Thune blamed it uh, on what's called influencer, paid influencer campaign to bring the Save America Act to fruition in the U.S. Senate. No, it's a vast ultra majority of the U.S. that wants the Save America Act to pass, and he is just not complying with it. I don't know if he thinks he's too good to bow to the will of the people, or he's just arrogant, or just incompetent. Because he's risking losing the Senate, or even losing his job. Well, if we lose the Senate, he's going to lose his job anyway. And I don't see him like, well, I was the majority leader, so I'll be the minority leader. They're like, yep, you're out. But we'll see. But I got articles on that, and one of them on the filibuster. Why the filibuster must go is it's a relic for times past. And then what's the other one we got? and one on the SEIU is the public employee union, and how they're funding pretty much a PAC to help Eric, Fing Fing Bang Bang to get elected to the governorship in California. All right. So we are out of time. I will see y'all at 12 o'clock on the JPA report. All right. I'm going to initiate a raid real quick for Vince. Thank y'all for tuning in this morning. I appreciate it. I wish it was simple as just typing the stuff in really quick, but you got to go through a whole process to make it work. So I'll catch y'all at 12 o'clock. So this is James Pierce. Catch you on the flip side. I'm out. I'm rating. All right. Let me click it. There it goes. Raid's confirmed. I'm out. See y'all at 12.